Good morning, Change Now. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good? Does it feel good to be together? Yes. My name is Elizabeth Course, and I am your host for today's session around designing business collaboration. And we are so pleased that you took the time to come to this session today. I might be biased, but I think that this is one of the most important topics of conversation here at Change Now, if this is going to be the year of implementation. Now, we live in a world where non-state actors are becoming as influential, if not more so, than governments. And most of the time, that is not going in our best interest for our collective futures. So what we need is what I call co-opetition. Have you heard of co-opetition? Yes? Collaboration between competing parties. And business collaboration has never been so crucial. But when we think about an industry, we think about a single movement. And of course, an industry is not that. An industry is made up of multiple individual players, often chasing shareholder profit for a short-term return. So today we are going to be hearing from speakers who between them have a huge amount of not only years of experience, but a diversity of experience of getting businesses to work together. But before we bring on our keynote, I want to get you involved. We are full of change makers in this room. I am going to ask you to show your hands for anybody here who has ever been involved in some form of business collaboration. So hands up. Okay, we've got a group of experts. Okay, back down, please. Can you put your hands up if that collaboration achieved something positive or some kind of impact? Brilliant. Look at that. That is all change that is happening because of change makers in this room. So thank you very much. So on to our first keynote. We have our speaker today is pioneering approaches to organizational transformation that are essential for effective collaboration. Through his groundbreaking Theory U, he introduced the concept of presencing, learning to lead from an emerging future rather than looking at the past. His work has shaped transformation efforts worldwide, from the UN to leading corporate engagement leadership programs. He is showing how changing our awareness can remake organizations and social systems. To help us understand how we might design organizations that can collaborate effectively, I'm delighted to welcome Senior Lecturer at MIT and Founding Chair of the Presencing Institute, Otto Scharmer. Welcome.
Bonjour, good morning. We meet in a moment where a lot of noise is around us, a lot is going on. We see a lot of transformation, but not all of that is going in the direction we wanted to go. So the backsliding of democracy, backlash to ESG, the list is long, as you all know. And I want, before we move into the many areas of progress that we have, put that link that what's happening around us right now, so that we are having a real conversation. I'm coming to you from the US. In the US, we have 4 institutions under attack. The courts, media, NGOs, and universities. What's the one institution that I didn't mention right now? What's the one institution standing where you can bring about real change? That's business and finance. So that's why the topic we have here was always important, but is ever more important today, because that is the vehicle. Yes, we need NGOs and universities and media and the courts, and we need their independence. But what's even more necessary right now is what it is we are going to explore here today and in this week, which is pre-market areas of industry-wide collaboration where, as a community, we can increase our intelligence, because that's the ecological challenge and all the other challenges we face call on us to increase the intelligence and not move backwards. And that's why the panels we will hear are of such a significance today. So I want to share a few slides if I can, but I'm not sure that's actually happening. Is that so? From a systems thinking point of view, this is what we see in almost all larger systems today. We collectively create results that no one wants. And what are these results? So can we please keep the slides on? What are these results? They are okay, so this somehow is not working. So the results are, of course, all the environmental issues that we all know about. We see societies moving into polarization. And so the social divide really is about societies beginning to fall apart. And the third one really is, I would say, a topic area that is a lot more significant today and needs more attention, and that is what you could refer to as an inner divide. It's not the disconnect to nature, it's not the disconnect to each other, it's the disconnect to ourselves. And it is manifesting in the pandemic of mental health and a collective sense of depression that we can see and experience in many communities today, particularly among younger people. And one way of describing what that is this title here, Illusion of Insignificance. In last year, 68% of people on the planet have reported about a loss of collective agency. In other words, what's going on in my community, in the collective decision making my community I am in, has nothing to do with my voice, with my own intention. So 2 out of 3 people report of that. It's a massive loss of collective agency that we experience, while on the other hand, we also have almost the same number of people. We have, okay, I will just kind of disregard the slides now, and none of that is working. So let's just get straight to the essence. illusion of insignificance. What do I mean with that? %68% of people experience a massive loss of collective agency. So what's happening in my community is disconnected from my own voice. My voice does not matter, doesn't make any difference. Yet, 69%, so more than 2 out of 3 people, also say that they would be willing to sacrifice part of their personal income to combat climate change. So it's those 2 numbers that summarize our challenge, our collective challenge. There is abundance of positive individual intention in the world today, on the one hand, and there's a complete disconnect to the collective actions that we see taking place right now. And that, of course, has to do with, so why is that the case? And that has been, that leads to, you could say, the questions of deep systems change. It's the question that systems thinking is addressing. And I have spent my past 2 or 3 decades as an action researcher to investigate that question. And one thing I learned early on is that innovators in industries, in technology, in business, but also other sectors in society, operate on a deeper learning process. So my basic insight that came from there is that there are 2 sources of learning and 2 sources of leadership. One is the past, and the other is the emerging future. And almost all our institutional processes of learning are organized around reflecting on the past and conveying the knowledge of the past to the next generation. Yet, very little of that is of significance when we move into unprecedented territories and disruptive challenges that require us to show up in new ways. So, what does it take to learn from the emerging future? And what I learned is it takes a journey that is both an outer journey and an inner journey. And the outer journey is one that moves you through a process of deep sensing, right? Going to the places where the new is happening, and then to a place of stillness, where you allow kind of the deeper knowing to emerge. And from there to move into rapid cycle prototyping. And today, the way I would summarize these 3 movements is with 3 words: attention, intention, and agency. Attention, if truly deepened, gives rise to intention, gives rise to a sense of what we are really here for, what I am really here for. And when I learned anything from the innovators I have been the privilege to work together with over my life, it is this: the future is utmost personal. The future is not what happens 2050, 2080, some other place to some other people. The future is utmost personal because it is a possibility that looks at me, because it depends on me to manifest. The future is a possibility that looks at us because it depends on us to manifest. It's that deeper layer of future, I think, that is in need of today, and that the current situation is calling for. I grew up on a regenerative farm near Hamburg, kind of north of Hamburg. And 70 years ago, my parents, when they were young, decided to change that farm from conventional agriculture to regenerative, to biodynamic. And every Sunday, my parents, my father, would take their kids and go on a field walk, right, and kind of investigate kind of the fields of the farm. And if I learned anything kind of throughout all those years, it is this: that the quality, that was basically what my father taught us, right? That the quality of what's growing above the ground is a function of the quality of the soil. And when I think about that, today I am thousands of miles away in a different place, doing apparently something very different. But in reality, I'm still doing the same thing. And perhaps you are too. Just that in our case, it is not the farm of agriculture, but it's not the field of agriculture that has our attention, but it is the social field. What is the social field? It also has two parts: the visible part above the ground, and that's what we call social systems. That's the practical results, the tangible parts of all the social economic systems we are dealing with. And then there's the invisible part. What is the invisible part? That's the social soil. And the social soil essentially is the quality of our awareness and the quality of our relationships, the qualities of how we are thinking and conversing and acting, collaborating together. And that's where I believe we need practices. We need, just as the farmer needs the plow, right, or the chisel plow in regenerative agriculture to cultivate the field, leaders and change makers need practices to cultivate the social field. The problem that we have today is that we try all the right things with the wrong methods. And the wrong methods is with a fragmented social soil, with a social soil of low quality. Why is it fragmented? Well, look at who January 20th, at the inauguration of the new president, sat in the first row. The owners of the attention fracking industries. That's why kind of our social soil is ever more fragmented. And that's why the leadership practices, like becoming aware, generative listening, generative conversation and co-sensing, deep sensing, kind of connecting to the emerging future possibilities that depend on us in order to come into reality, to manifest, and then exploring these futures by rapid cycle experimentation. Those are the practices that I believe need support structures and need amplification and need replication, not only on a team level, not only on an organizational level, but on an industry and whole systems level. And that's the one thing that's missing, and that's why the cases we are going to discuss later with the two panels are of such a relevance, because they show us the way we all need to evolve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And